Afternoon everyone. As I told you guys earlier, I'm going to give you the exact toolbox a business analyst could use. This is the template bundle that I promised you previously. So I'm going to get you into a systematic and a structured way of getting all the requirements from your stakeholders and how to manage them, how to get access, and how to go through to delivery by creating all these steps. So I've created this Notion page. I'll post this one into the download section where I explain how to use this bundle. This workspace is practical templates that I have created in the past, and from my experience I've created a set of templates so that you can download and use. So we have BRD templates, user stories, workshop frameworks, process mapping, how to understand KPIs and build them, requirement traceability matrix, the UAT pack, and a few further add-ons that I have updated along these lines. So I put everything into as a pack into Notion, so you can just download and then go with it. This is best suited for consultants who are coming in to look at the workflows of a workplace. For business process analysts, whoever's getting into analyzing workflows and trying to give value for the stakeholders. So let's jump in, and the first thing that we have right here is the business requirement document. For a small scale requirement gathering session, a BRD template, I've kept it for maximum of 2 pages, just because at this stage is really early at the requirement gathering stage. So you would have problems at workplace that you want to resolve, but you don't have a lot of information or context. So I've kept it to minimal. A BRD template is basically a structured document that clearly defines the business problem, the scope, objectives, and what we are going to achieve, what are the risks, and what would be the success criteria down the line. So the easiest way to approach this is via a problem statement. You would ask stakeholders very high level, what are the problems that we are going to resolve from this particular exercise. So you put down what is broken, who is impacted, and quantify that impact. One thing that you can ask is what if we do not do this exercise, what will happen? So that will add on to the problem statement, which clearly states what the problem is, who are the people who are impacted or systems that are impacted, and quantify that impact. For an example, claims process, it is a problem where users won't be able to see claim information of the user, therefore unable to process a certain claim. So that is something the end users are who got impacted by this issue. And then quantifying is that they are spending a lot of time in admin. If you quantify that to 10 minutes, 1 hour, 30 minutes, that is highly desirable when it comes to BRD, because that is something that we are going to gauge against, and then I'll show you further down the line how it affects this BRD template. And then you move into objectives. What is the primary measurable outcome? So for example, if you take that claims process, primary measurable outcome would be to reduce that 30 minutes of admin time into 10 minutes so that they can process the claim fairly easily and then go back to serve the customer. So secondary supporting outcomes could be reducing paperwork and then do not have to go through different systems to obtain that customer information. I'm just taking an example as I go, so then you get an understanding of what this actually is. Then we have the in-scope items and out-of-scope items. For example, if the stakeholders say that we should have the claims automated, that is an in-scope item. How far down the line that we automate is another question that followed by it. So I would say in scope is this much of amount of automation, customer data, summaries, and all of that stuff. But out of scope is basically the customer onboarding part, where new customers are not onboarded into this application. So that's an example that I took based on the claims process example that I took previously. And then you would have the stakeholders. There will be number of roles that are involved here, their roles and their names and responsibilities. This is crucial because these are the people that you are going to speak to and then find out what are the requirements from their side. So this is something that would be really important to you. Functional requirements from the real get-go, from the start of the requirement gathering session, you are putting down requirement IDs, a description, and the priorities. So then it's really easy if way down the line when you step into a requirement workshop later on. So we try to get as much as possible on functional requirement side. What is the status of it? What is the priority from the stakeholders? Non-functional requirements, yes, is the system supposed to give good performance? What is the performance like? Does it need to be concurrently used by 1000 users, 100,000 users, or what? Security and compliance is a must-have as well, especially in a medium to enterprise scale of a requirement gathering session. Availability, how much of a available time that the system should be, data retention, and audit logging, which is another compliance requirement when it comes to that particular domain. We also put risks and assumptions because the risks and impacts are really the ones that we are driving after this when it comes to requirement traceability metrics, KPIs, and requirement workshops. So that is something that we need to have it documented well on BRD. And finally, we have the sign-offs. So we have the project sponsor or the management as the owners for obtaining approvals. Once we have the BRD ready, we move into the next set of user stories. So this is a template for a user story plus acceptance criteria. So user stories, as you might know already, is a where you put the story to say this is the value that we are going to bring from this story, and it is a discussion that you would have with your engineering team. So stakeholder says, as this person, I want to have that so that I can cut down this much of time. So for example, as a end user of the claims process, as a let's say a claims officer, I want to be able to see customer data so that I do not have to go back into another system and spend time there. So the value there is pretty clear because you already say that there's this much of time that you are trying to save up by using this information. Then you go into acceptance criteria. This is a highly debated one in the industry with analysts. So we use something called given, when, then, which is very clear. We call this jerkin analysis as well. Jerkin presentation, given that the system gives you the customer onboarding information when the claims officer clicks this customer info button, then the system gives you customer ID, customer information, address details, and so and so that could be an acceptance criteria. That is something that when it comes to user testing, that we need to confirm, and then once we have the acceptance criteria 100% passed, only we usually go into delivery. There can be edge case prompts basically on what if the integration fails, what happens when the API does not accept any certain type of data or a certain characters of data, what if there's a high volume that are coming in via the APIs into the system, what if there are duplicate submissions as well, how do we handle those? So those are the edge case prompts. So based on this, you would then go again and create a user story for your edge cases and create an acceptance criteria for that. Next up is the requirement workshop framework. So this is a facilitation guide that I've created. I've shown this one earlier in one of my videos where we sent a workshop agenda for the stakeholders, where you go through the problem framing section, current state and the future state scenarios, understand the pain points, prioritization, and the risk and dependencies. So you have the complete picture on what you are doing at the workshop, and finally at the end of the day you have a framework to log everything. So I've put this as a live capture table. So the scenario here, why we are using this is basically once you are in the workshop, you are capturing the pain points, root cause and proposed fix that you think and the priority of it, and you are assigning an owner for that. So this is something that you would capture within 60 to 90 minutes depending on the stakeholders. I highly encourage analysts to look at who, what, when and why kind of workflow and capture as much as possible on the problem and the current state of the scenario. So those are the things that we would put down and align those risks and dependencies. We do have a process mapping toolkit as well. So this is a visual representation. So as analysts, you can use process mapping into this or PPMN diagrams as well. So you log the current state with data definitions and data diagrams as well, data flow diagrams, and you can even list by step in its most simplest way so that the stakeholders can understand and sign off. You have to put down the systems that are involved here, the bottlenecks that you are seeing, the future state definition of where we are going to, and then process improvement questions on where is the rework, what are the approval levels, if there are any data duplicated here, where does any manual intervention will happen. So all these workarounds and process improvement questions will follow. Based on that, we would go back and refine the current state and the future state as well. So this is one of the templates that I've used, very simple and straightforward templates, so any user can identify and understand. Next up would be the KPIs. So KPIs are a really interesting one because the key performance indicators, also known as KPIs, it's a design tool that links the business outcomes to measurable drive indicators. So this is where the numbers matter. So we have to see what is the outcome of those KPIs. KPIs are usually, for an example, conversion rates, processing time, error rates, and let's say for that claims officer, cutting down admin time becomes an KPI, especially if there is a number aligned to it like 30 minutes, 20 minutes, that becomes a KPI, that was a measurable KPI. Which means that once you have that, once you achieve that, you can mark that as a success. So here we have a metrics table. So driver metric is one thing. We can select whether it's a leading or a lagging matrix, and a data source and an owner. I would discuss this one in a next video where I would go through KPI activity on a different video and then probably look into that, but not on this video. So stay in touch with me and subscribe so that you get the notification on the latest video on how to drive metrics. We also do take a note of assumptions here, and then why these metrics, what behaviors influence them. So you document all of that. Understanding is to justify these metrics. Why do we keep a 30-minute admin cutoff there, and so on. So the requirement traceability matrix is one of the most used and widely used in the analysis domain. It's basically a tracking mechanism that connects requirements to the end result. So it ensures that end-to-end scenarios are matched with the business requirements. So therefore, this can be used as a traceability matrix, hence the name requirement traceability matrix. If you can see, I've created a sort of a table or a database for this: requirement ID, link story, the test case ID that the testers have prepared, if there are any defect IDs to that, what is the status of it, whether those are signed off with the business, and what is the evidence for that. So in this picture you can actually see whether the test cases have passed and what is the criteria for that passing, and if everything is signed off, our requirements ready for release. So that is something that I highly encourage any analyst to start off. Even when you understand that there's a BRD discussion happening, you should have this requirement traceability map at the start of the project, and then have draft copies whenever you move ahead with the discovery sessions. Alright, finally the UAT execution pack. This is one testing toolkit that we analysts use. I've used this on numerous times to give an understanding before go live where the UAT plan is. So basically what I put down is scope and the timeline in a very roadmapy kind of a weave, the participants and the entry and exit criteria. So that is something that I'm going to explain in another video. Probably we might not have the enough time to go through everything, but the gist of it is that UAT test case database is maintained with scenarios, precondition steps, the results, actual results, pass and fail, and the evidence link. So this is used as a sign off for the project stakeholders as well, which means that if this is signed off properly, we can move this into production as the version 1 or the expected criteria is met. So that's sort of the end of all of my pack that I've related to. Any consultant analyst can just take it off and then use it in their day-to-day requirement gathering exercises. I've also included an optional add-on where you usually have to give stakeholders a weekly or a fortnightly update. So I've created an executive snapshot where you give the project status on overall health on your discovery activities, your confidence level, and where the delivery phase is at. So I usually say this week's focus is primary objective delivered or in progress, key milestones that I think that I have achieved basically on requirement workshops or any other work items that you are working on, or any other. If you may have like measurable progress indicators, like we are 20% at this stage or 80% at the requirement gathering stage. Yeah, so given some examples here, key risks and decisions if we need to escalate by any means, you can use this format to escalate. What is our scope and are we aligned on the delivery? What is the delivery progress if that is the case? Are there any blockers for that? Total number of requirements. I usually give this to stakeholders to maintain the visibility of the project. How much of requirements up to now, what are in review and what are approved, and what are the pending clarified items. Then I create open clarifications, what is unclear and what's not, and who needs to confirm, which feeds into the process and impact and all of that stuff. I've created the process and impact summary especially because I've worked on a process and impact workflow enhancements and a project like that, but you can just omit these ones and use it if it is applicable. Same thing as UAT and release readiness. Once you come to a stage that is near delivery, so you can have this UAT statuses as well. And release readiness checklist, I've put some emojis there as well. As a summary, you can keep the stakeholders engaged. The true value here is that you keep your stakeholders engaged and they know what's happening, as well as you have a clear picture always that they don't have to come to you to ask for specific information. One final note, this is only a high level template with all the details that I've used in a pack, so you can remove and add as necessary based on your project, based on what you are doing. And yeah, I'll put this one into the download section of this video. If you're happy and with this template or just have some comments, just put that into the chat. Reach out to me or this place and then send me some feedback. And if you're happy with the template and if you think that is valuable, please do subscribe and we'll keep in touch. On final note, I hope you guys are all safe. There's a whole lot of things going out there in the Middle East. I'm from New Zealand. I'm Auckland, so I'm probably a little bit safe at this stage, but you never know. So yeah, I'll speak to you guys soon, and I'll do some really valuable videos on templates and some practical issues that we face as analysts in the near future. Till then, see you.